Sairam. So I mentioned in the last episode that the deputy warden had called me and asked me to speak about Krishna Leelas. So in the evening bhajan, in those days, the tradition was to switch off all the lights and only the altar would be lit up. And of course, for Krishna Janmashtami, there would be a beautiful jhula arranged, which would be very well lit. And I was asked to speak. Even as I was getting up to speak, our warden, who was there next to me, said, "Ravi Kumar, you have to finish in 7 to 10 minutes. And I was taken aback because to speak about Krishna Leelas would take quite some time. And anyway, I had no choice. I went to the podium and I spoke. And as I talked about the various Leelas of Krishna, actually it reminds you of the wonderful times you have with Swami and the beautiful significance that Swami has given to each of the Krishna Leelas. Swami would say that when Krishna went with his friends to break the pots, he would not only break the pots, these were all ancestral pots which were given to the daughter-in-law by the mother-in-law, and from earlier the mother-in-law had received it from her mother-in-law and so on. Krishna would not only break these pots, he would put his leg in the butter after sharing it with his friends and with the monkeys and whatever animals were there. He would put his leg in the butter and then he would walk away from there. And so it was very easy for the Gopikas to trace his path and catch him. And Swami said the significance of this is not that in Krishna's house there was any dearth of butter, but Krishna was always looking forward for this soft butter of innocence and devotion which the Gopikas had. And this is what drew him to their houses. And he was indicating to them that there was a beautiful spiritual lesson, Swami used to say. He was telling them to break the body consciousness. Our bodies are all the result of what we receive from our parents and they from their parents and so on. It is actually as if it is being passed down from one generation to the next and so on. And consciousness, this is what Krishna was indicating by breaking those pots. And as regards his stepping on the butter and walking away, Swami would say that Krishna was indicating that if you want to catch him, you have to walk along the footsteps, his footsteps. That is, you conduct yourself the way the avatar does, you can reach him. So I spoke about all this, and towards the end, naturally, in everyone's mind and heart was this feeling of emptiness that Swami was not there. So I ended by saying, even in the Dwapara Yuga, when the Gopikas used to feel very proud that Krishna was exclusively theirs, he would suddenly disappear from their midst. And then they would go searching for him, asking every bush and every plant whether they have seen Krishna. And suddenly Krishna would appear from nowhere, unintended. But it just came out. I said, let us hope that in the same way Swami comes and sits on this jhula and picks up the conversation. This is what I said. And then we had the bhajan, soulful bhajans we had. After that, when the lights were switched on, we had realized that a lot of time had passed, and when we calculated backwards, I had spoken for about 45 minutes, and we all sat down for dinner. As we were having dinner, Mr. Ramabrahmam, whom I had mentioned earlier as the caretaker of Brindavan, he came and asked for a mic to be arranged, and he announced, "Boys, Swami has already come to Bangalore." In his broken Hindi, he announced, "Swami has already come to Bangalore and he has asked me to announce that he is coming tonight. Okay, he has asked me to tell all of you to keep awake." And so after about 10:15 like that, Swami arrived at Brindavan. When Swami got down from the car, it was as fresh as a jasmine flower. And he looked at all our faces. I think Swami must have felt that our faces were all sullen. So he looked at all our faces and very innocently asked, "When is Krishna Janmashtami?" And none of us answered. Krishna Janmashtami was already over according to our calendar. And then with a sweet smile, Swami said, "Krishna Janmashtami is when Krishna decides to celebrate it, opening a hope for us that it could still be celebrated." And then Swami accepted the Aarti and retired for the night. The next morning, we had all assembled in a Brindavan old bungalow when Swami came out for darshan. And spotting me at a distance, Swami said, "Hey, Ravi Krishna, Ikadra." I was taken aback because that was not my name. At least that was not fully not my name. Part of it was my name. And then Swami saw that I didn't respond, so he said, "Dunnapota." And my classmates who were there with me, immediately they said, "Hey, Swami's calling you." They were convinced that I am the Dunnapota he was calling. So I went forward. And then Swami said, "You spoke very nicely about Krishna Leelas yesterday." "Let's go," he said. So as I bent down to take namaskar, slowly some boy started asking Swami, "Please come to the hostel, Swami. Please come to the hostel." And the idea was that slowly if we start asking like that, at least in the weekend Swami would come to the hostel. Swami looked at this boy and said, this group of boys, and said, "Hostel?" He asked, "Hostel? Randi Potam," he said. And he started walking towards the hostel. Now we were all aghast because we didn't expect that Swami would immediately respond to our prayer and lead us to the hostel. We had thought that we would get some time to decorate the hostel, keep it neat and all that. And here was Swami leading us directly, and he walked directly into the dining hall. Breakfast had just got over before this, and the mats were still there. And of course in the corner the jhula was there. Swami went straight and sat on the jhula. And it was a beautiful sight. All the students crowding round Swami. It was such a beautiful and informal atmosphere. And then Swami said, "Boys, you don't know how much of daya I have on all of you, how much of compassion I have for all of you. Yesterday morning, Radha Krishna was not keeping well, but I told him that we must reach Brindavan tonight, otherwise boys will be disappointed. And therefore I created some prasadam and gave him, and we drove completely from Ooty to Bangalore in one stretch so that we will reach in time for you to have darshan." And then Swami said, "See, I am ready to give you any boon you want. Emaina adugandi istan." He said, "Ask whatever you want, I'll give." So one boy said, "Swami, today evening, please come to the hostel." I mean, in the sense, Swami, what he meant probably was, "Swami, we are not ready now to receive you in the way we would like to. So evening you should come." Swami said, "Tappaga vastan. I will come definitely." Then another boy said, "Swami, you must have dinner with us." And Swami said, "Tappaga. Definitely I will have dinner with you." And one mess committee boy said, "Swami, you must give the menu, because preparing the menu at such a short notice would not be easy." So he said, "Swami, you must give the menu." Swami said, "Oh yes, I will give the menu. What else do you want?" And then one boy probably realized that you cannot ask only for things like this. You must ask Swami for a discourse. So he said, "Swami, you must give a discourse." "Tappaga istan." Swami said, "Definitely I'll give a discourse. What else do you want?" And the warden realized that this was a beautiful chance. So he said, "Swami, please give us some old photographs." And Swami said, "Yes, there are a few in the mandir. Yeah, I will give it to you." Then one senior boy said, "Swami, you must help us, you must instruct us as to how to arrange the altar." "Tappaga chestan, Swami. Inka cheppandi, inka em kavali." Actually, we had run out of ideas. I mean, normally when you ask for boons, you don't have a series of boons, you don't ask. You limit it to some thing. And here was Swami fulfilling the boons as fast as they came. And therefore, after a few minutes, Swami got up from the Jula and he went back to the mandir. And we all went to the college. Swami sent for some senior boys, asked them to stay back. And he gave some old photographs, came to the hostel dining hall again, stood there and got the entire altar arranged. There was this beautiful photograph in which Swami is standing on a lotus, which is still there in our hostel dining hall. And Swami made this the centerpiece in the altar. And he said, see, this is how I am standing in all your hearts. And then he got the various photographs arranged in the altar. After arranging the whole thing, Swami was looking at it from a little distance and he suddenly said, that center part is little empty, isn't it? He said. And the boy said, yes, Swami, it looks little empty. Swami called one boy and said, see, Madurai Chettiar has got something for me. Okay, go and get it from his car. So this boy immediately dashed, and even before Swami had completed what he wanted to convey. And then Swami stopped him and said, hey, Vigraham, it is an idol. So this boy half heard it, half didn't hear it, but he dashed because he wanted to do whatever Swami had sent him on. And so he went to the gate and he was asking the watchman whether Madurai Chettiar sir had come. In those days, the cars used to be parked in a corner and he didn't know which was Madurai Chettiar's car. As he was asking the watchman said, no sir, Madurai Chettiar has not come. Even as they were talking, car honked. And they both looked, it was Madurai Chettiar arriving at the gate. So quickly the gate opened and this boy ran to the car and told Madurai Chettiar, sir, Swami said you have brought something for him. He asked me to collect it. And Chettiar was very surprised. He didn't remember bringing anything. He looked at his wife and she also said, no, we have not got anything. Then this boy remembered the second part. Sir, some Vigraham, he said, some idol. And both of them immediately realized that they had brought a Krishna Vigraham, a sandalwood statue, idol of Krishna. And so quickly they opened the boot and opened the suitcase and took this Krishna idol and gave it. And this idol this boy brought and gave it to Swami. Swami placed it there in the middle and Swami said, see how perfectly it fits. That evening, of course, Swami came to the hostel and Swami gave a discourse. It was on Krishna Leela and it was, of course, Swami was very happy and it was a beautiful experience. And then Swami said, see, the image of Krishna that all of you have is what in the films. But actually Krishna did not wear a crown. Krishna was never interested in being a king. He always wanted to be a kingmaker. And he used to wear a turban like this. And Swami asked for a towel. Somebody rushed and got a towel and gave it to Swami. And Swami tied the turban. And then he said Brindavan in those days used to be full of peacocks. And the peacock feathers which are available, Krishna used to put like this. And then Swami said, see, when Krishna was to be named, the naming ceremony was performed by Garga Maharshi. And he named Krishna as Krishna. Okay, he named the child as Krishna. He said because Krishna means Karshati iti Krishna, one who attracts. Kushti iti Krishna, one who gives joy. And Krishati, one who plows the field of one's heart. This is Krishna, Swami said. And then Swami said, at that time, Krishna's grandmother gave him this jewel. And Swami, with a huge circle, Swami waved his hand and materialized this beautiful gem called Kaustubham, which is famed in our scriptures as the one which is always on the chest of Lord Vishnu. And it was a beautiful emerald which had rows of diamonds around it. And Swami said, this is that Vakshastale Kaustubham, as Krishna Karnamritam mentions. And Swami took it around and showed it to all of us. And when someone touched the jewel and touched his eyes in reverence, Swami said, hey, touch this hand. This is the hand from which not only this Kaustubham, but all the avatars emanate from this hand, he said. So after this, of course, we had a very sumptuous dinner. Swami himself went round distributing sweets to all the boys. Swami had dinner with us. And after the dinner, we all went with Swami to the bungalow. And after leaving Swami there, we returned with our hearts full of joy. And this is how that particular Krishna Ashtami was celebrated in Brindavan. Sai Ram.